What is up, everybody? This is the SportsNerd coming at you live on this lovely, lovely Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Um, this is just a follow-up to my original News Minute on the Quinton Dunbar becoming innocent in his case between him and Baker. But this time we're going to actually reveal some of the members you will be seeing on Tuesday for our first ever live trivia show. But before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys to remember to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell, so that way you guys get notified of all my other videos, and share it with your friends to make sure that he knows that this is going to be the place to be for all your greatest general sports content. But without further ado, let's bring on our special group of panel. Here we are. What is up, everybody? How are you guys all doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back on for the second time today, so that's pretty exciting.
So, if you guys do not know, as you probably can tell, in the left-hand side, that is Cameron Hughes. Cameron, first time on a live show, is that correct?
Yeah.
Live show, correct? You've been asking me for a while. I've been like, when am I going to get on this thing? When am I going to get on this thing? And you were one of the guys, I think, when you were going in, that you had like no experience whatsoever heading into this.
This is my first time.
Your first time. I'm telling you, you'll get it right away. Do not worry. You will be pitch perfect by the time Tuesday comes around. And another very familiar face, Nick LeBeau. You guys saw him in the earlier portion of this news breaking, and we're just going to get some more of his thoughts for those of you who did not see him there. So, welcome, guys. I just wanted to start out by letting you guys know this is a very surprising news for pretty much all of us, and I know you guys have a lot of thoughts to get to, but we're going to pretty much get to that in just 1 second. But for those that do not know, these guys are not the same team that I root for, by the way, if you guys do not know that. So if you guys, I may have different takes on it than what these guys may have had, but we will get to that in a certain point when we get there. But I'm going to start off with Cameron. This is your first time on. So you found out the news this morning that your cornerback, Quinton Dunbar, was innocent, and then Baker was charged with armed robbery, 4 counts of it to be exact. What was your thought to this? Were surprised at first that he was innocent or no?
I was very surprised. I thought he was going to be suspended I thought he wasn't going to play. I thought he was going to jail, for a long time.
So, were you expecting Baker to be charged with, not Baker. Were you surprised for, him to just say that he was not going to get charged with anything, or did you, think he was going to, get charged with something at the minimum?
I thought he was going to be charged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those that do not know, as it is, Baker got charged with 4 counts of armed robbery, as I previously said. Dunbar was innocent, did not get charged with anything. He's still on the commissioner's exempt list, although he will pretty soon, which I am think is going to be within probably the next few days, maybe over the next 48 hours or so, he probably may get off that list. And I will update with you guys as soon as we get there. But, Nick, let's turn over to you here. You, of course, said some of your thoughts on the earlier portion of the show. So, I'm going to ask you right here, did you think that he was going to get charged originally, when this was announced, or did you think that he was going to be innocent all along?
Honestly, I had no clue. There was so much back and forth in this entire situation that I was just like, I wouldn't be surprised if anything happened, if he got charged, I wouldn't be surprised. If he didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. So I was kind of anything.
Okay. So when you also saw, just a follow-up question to that, when you saw that Baker was charged with 4 counts of robbery, were you shocked that Dunbar was not charged with any of it, or did you think that he was going to also get charged with probably less or the same amount as he was?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was a 2-person deal, so if one got charged, the other probably would too. But to see that Quinton Dunbar had gotten off and Baker had gotten charged, that was really a surprise for me.
So as these boys have basically, just said that the Quinton Dunbar, they're not 100%. I mean, they are 100% surprised about it. I would say that when they said that there was not enough evidence to it, I was kind of very surprised about that, because I think off of what the lawyers of these two have said, who you guys know what, of course, happened to those two, they were not they thought that there was a significant evidence of that the other person had it. So I think that since they said that there was no significant evidence, I think it was not like 100% that they did not say enough evidence, but there was evidence I feel that was there that could have been used that easily could have gone against Dunbar in this case. And I think that when I'm thinking about the 4 counts of armed robbery charged to DeAndre Baker, I think that the fact that he was charged with all that and Dunbar with none was really, I think, kind of lopsided in this case because Dunbar is not going to hurt anyway here. Baker is going to be pretty much arrested for who knows how long he's going to be. And then he may not even be having a career after this. And then he could also be hurt in the long run with, fines and all that other stuff that could come along with this case. But I'm going to switch it over to the football side of things on the field here. Cameron, we'll start with you here. So now that Dunbar is pretty much going to be expected to be coming off the commissioner exempts list, and even though you think he is going to probably be suspended, as you previously had mentioned, what effect do you think he will bring to this defense at right corner, you think?
Well, he can play slot and outside corner, and he was a receiver in college, so he's got really good ball skills, unlike Shaquille Griffin. He only has 2 his entire career, and Dunbar has had an interception every year of his career. He had 1 hit each year of his first 5 years. 1 each season of his first 3 years, and then he had 2 his 4th year and 4 last year.
Okay. And then, Nick, you also said this earlier in the previous broadcast about what some of your other thoughts were. Do you believe that, I'm going to flip around the question a little bit to you since you already asked the same question as you, and then I'll flip it over to you, Cameron, again for the follow-up again. So do you think that even though Dunbar is listed as a corner that he can play as there, do you think that he easily will be flexed around in the different positions on defense or no?
I think that I don't think he'll be ruled out. Pete Carroll really likes mixing stuff up a lot. I think he'll move around maybe a couple times in a couple games throughout the season, but I think he'll primarily stay at that position, outside corner position.
Okay. Cameron, what are your thoughts on? Do you think he'll be flexed around, or do you think he's going to stay in one position the whole time?
I think when they're in the base 4-3, they'll put him on the outside with Griffin, and then when they're in nickel, I think sometimes they'll put him in the slot and have Trey Flowers out on the outside, put all 5. Because Ugo Amadi still is only in his 2nd year, and he can play safety and cornerback. So.
Okay, so my thoughts on this, if you guys do not know, as you guys know, and I think you probably all do know, I do not root for the teams these guys root for. So, but I do follow a lot of other teams in the NFL, so you guys need to also know that I know a lot about some other teams in here. But in my terms, in Dunbar, I think, because for those that do not know, he was a receiver. Started out as a receiver like Richard Sherman, then of course was flexed to as a gunner, and then he was then a defensive back because he was so successful at the gunner position. I think that he probably could maybe be flexed around between maybe some part of that defense. I think that because he is so good on some of those routes, I think because of course you guys got Jamal Adams at strong safety, who will probably be playing that sort of guy in the box. He's the kind of guy I think that you guys will easily probably rely on for a lot of your interceptions. But I think that he also is a guy, you guys can also bounce your ideas off of me and you guys agree or disagree on this. He probably could also kind of play, in my opinion, sort of like a safety, like a strong safety in the box, because he's a guy I think that you could easily just go up against any other guy man-to-man, or also a really good zone guy who you can also use. But I do think that you could use him also in a strong safety position and only play in like a certain area of the box. And then you can also switch around as that. So Do you guys agree with me on that, or do you think that he would be not playing in like a sort of safety position?
Like I said before, I think he'll probably move around. Pete Carroll loves moving guys around. So, yeah, I'll agree with you on that he'll move around.
Okay. And I'm assuming, Cameron, you also agree with me on that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. That's dope. And then, sort of, we actually have a little more time than I expected because I actually have a little bit of that. Are there any other thoughts that you two have that you want to add into this news? Cameron, I'll start with you.
Not really. It helps our secondary.
Okay. Nick, do you have any final thoughts you want to give out? Anything related to it?
Although you could ask our opinions on possible Clay Matthews and Everson Griffin rumors, or
Yes.
do you want to save that?
Yeah, I was gonna save that for after it was doing that. So you guys are fine. You guys are fine. So, of course, I'm gonna get into this a little more when we do our first show on. I think you guys are gonna get into that a little more on Tuesday when we do our off-season sort of recap about who's also still available in the market and that. But just based off of now, the big defensive ends that still remain are, of course, Jadeveon Clowney, who we do not even know what he's asking for at this point, considering what he has been offered. And then Everson Griffin, who is sort of like a Clowney, except maybe could be a little bit better, a little worse, depending on who you're talking to. But I want to get your guys' opinion. I'll start off with Nick this time. What do you think? Do you think the Seahawks should sign or go after Jadeveon Clowney, or should they just go after Griffin at this point?
Well, you have to look at it at this point. Everson Griffin's going to get you the more sacks. He's going to get to the quarterback more. But Jadeveon Clowney will get you more pressures. He will pressure the quarterback into making him either throw the ball away, get sacked, or make a bad throw and turns into an interception or an incomplete pass. At this point, I think with Bruce Irvin and Benson Mayowa and the guys kind of below them on the depth chart, I think they can get to the quarterback and put some pressure. I think Jared Reed can get sacks. And I think in this defense, what our defensive line's looking like scheme-wise, I think Everson Griffin would probably do better in it, sack-wise. Because I think we need, like, sack go-getter, you know?
Okay. And if you guys don't exactly 100% get the words, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you understand what he is referring to, is that the Hawks do not have like a person they can like 100% like rely on, because a lot of players get the sacks on that line, but there's not like one player who's like the 100% like leader like by far in the sack conversation. But unlike my team, who has Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and a lot of those guys on that line who can get a lot of the sacks and lead the sacks for the team. But Cameron, I'll get your thoughts on this. Do you think you still should go after Clowney or just go right for Griffin?
Yeah, they should definitely go for Clowney because he draws double teams and triple teams, and that lets everybody else get to the quarterback quicker. Because if you don't have to focus on one guy, then you don't get that many sacks and pressures. So.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change. I'm going to agree with Cameron because after I said that, I'm like in my mind, well, Clowney's more likely to get better, while Everson Griffin's more on that kind of downhill, starting to kind of go downhill because of age. You know, what is he? He's in his 30s. I don't know, like 31 or something.
Yeah, somewhere
around there.
Somewhere around there.
So, and like Cameron said, Clowney draws the double teams. And like we saw in the 49er game, which was, I believe, like 8 or something, right, kind of in the midseason on that Monday night game.
In that Monday night game.
Yeah, Clowney was the difference maker in that game.
For sure.
Even though he was really picking on the Mike McGlinchey, who's the 49ers right tackle, and he's pretty solid at right tackle. He was also in the Cardinal game, when we played them down there, he had a big impact in a bunch of other games. And then you have to look at it. How are you supposed to stop Jamal Adams on one side, Bobby Wagner on the other, and then Jadeveon Clowney and Jaron Reed on the line? when they're all blitzing. Like, yeah. So yeah, I would change my thought and go after Clowney.
And I just have to make that point about you said about the difference maker in that Niner game. If I'm correct, which I am, I think I am correct by my stats. I think he got about 5 sacks in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I think, and maybe more, maybe less, because I am. If you guys don't know, I always do these things by memory, of course, and I, of course, probably correct myself afterwards. So, if I'm right, I think he had like 5 sacks. He had, I think, a strip sack and then like a whole bunch of more turnovers that were forced in that game. So, especially for that reason, I think that if you can just get him to like make sure you know what he's asking for first, because especially with what he's been doing, like you don't know, because he was offered $21 million by the Browns, and then of course he just turned it down. So we don't even know. Of course, you guys may not even have enough cap space to afford for him because of what you have done this offseason. But I always am very intrigued to know who he's going to, if anybody signs him before week 1 of the regular season, and who is going to have, what effect he's going to have on whatever team he signs for. Because he's a guy that he is get injured sometimes. He does get injured, but whenever he does make a difference, he makes a difference. So I would still take a chance on him. Like, he's not worth 21. I mean, he's not worth 21 million in my opinion, for sure. Because I mean, I don't know why. Because if you guys know who, I know you both know who this is, and this is Noah Bolter. By the way, he actually has a radio show tomorrow, 10 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. YouTube on his channel. Link is description below. He said 20 mil is the most you can go for him. I mean, he's not worth 20 mil. I think probably the most 15 mil, in my opinion, probably, because he gets injured. He's not one of those guys that just stays healthy all the time, unlike probably like, maybe, I wouldn't say this, but probably Chris Jones, although he was injured for some time. So, but he wasn't injured for like as much as he was, and I think that because of that factor in there, that a lot of that he's basically not going to get as much money as he originally wants to for a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So before I wrap this up, actually, I want to let you guys know about something before I let you guys talk about your channels. And I know both of you probably already know about this. Tomorrow on Noah Bolter's channel, link in the description below, he's premiering his radio show, The Bolt, where he talks sports from 3 hours, 10 to 1 Pacific, 1 to 4 Eastern, wherever you are watching from. Norb is going to be on it. He's going to be collabing with him. So it's going to be a great show, and I really recommend you guys tune into that. That is 10 to 1 Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Noah Bolter's channel. Link in the description below. But before I wrap this up, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to talk about your channels. Cameron, I'll start with you. Where can they find you? What do you do on YouTube?
My YouTube name is just my name, Cameron Hughes, and I do mostly like player highlights, game highlights, Seahawks game highlights, and stuff like that.
Okay. And Nick, I know you are starting up something, rebranding your channel, as you said earlier. Tell everyone what is going on with that and where they can find you.
Yeah, so I was previously, or my channel's link is in the description, if you guys are interested. So my channel's name was previously Seahawks Talk, but I really wanted to broaden my horizons, so me and my friend are working on rebranding it. It's now called Seattle Sports Talk, and yeah, I'm gonna post. Try to do daily. I'm gonna try and start a podcast, do a couple of those episodes, and do maybe a live once a week.
Okay, and for those that are wondering, I think we are gonna. This is just some of the panel that you guys are gonna see Tuesday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific for our first ever collab with the panel and then trivia contest that I have personally put together. And I know, Cameron, you have been asking me like crazy of when I am going to be doing another one. I see you've been commenting. Can you make another one? Can you make another one? And I cannot wait for you to play this on the panel. And I tried to get the other two members on the panel here. They were not available today. Those are Rigi Hoscote and Jose from Sky High Aviation, who is, you'll see them both on Tuesday for our weekly Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. I mean, not 5 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for our weekly panel trivia contest and NFL news update for. We will get to that on Tuesday and we get closer to that. But I want to thank all you guys for watching. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell to get all my other videos in your sub boxes. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your Friday, great weekend. And until next time, my name is the Sports Nerd. Have yourselves a great weekend, and go Chiefs, baby.